Hey everyone, so we're going to take a look at Terra Luna today and have a look at the most likely scenarios both to the upside and to the downside, and I'm going to tell you where I think price is going to be heading and where I'm going to be buying in. Now, if you like these sort of videos and you want to keep up to date, please go ahead and drop me a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That massively helps me out. So let's get straight into it. Now, Luna has been the strongest performer in the cryptocurrency space, managed to make new all-time highs, but I don't think that it's immune from what is going on in the macroeconomic situation at the minute with the strength of the dollar, the weakness of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and also the weakness of the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. And I do think that that is likely to continue from here and, you know, filter down at least into some of these altcoins, and Luna is not immune from that. Now, I think from here, the most likely scenario, if I had to put a number on it, I think that there's probably like a 70-75% chance, in my opinion, that from here, we're probably going to attack this level at about $60 to $42, because this is the next order block below us from where we broke out from. Okay, and you can see that where we broke market structure, really nice, moved on to new all-time highs. And I think from this level, okay, is going to be my base case scenario, is basically whether we decide whether we move on to new all-time highs and Luna makes another run and we just continue the trend that we've been doing, which is basically grinding up and to the right, and looking at some of those targets of about $165, $130, $200, which we'll go through, or if we basically fall apart and move over to lower levels. So how are we going to know what's going to happen at this level? Well, I think this is definitely the most likely. And let's just talk about some of the downside targets first, okay? Now, we've got this level over here, 42 to about $60, which is that important order block. And what do we also have on the weekly time frame on the Fibonacci EMAs? Now, if we break that 21 weekly moving average on the Fibonacci, we do typically move down to the next level, and that next level below us is, lo and behold, that 34 EMA, which is that orange line you can see upsloping here, which is bang slap into the middle of this order block over here. So that's why we're keeping an eye on that as the most likely scenario. Now, if we were to lose $42, $44, which is the low that we made at the back end of January, I would expect us to basically fall straight down to, you know, $20 to about $24, which is basically the last all-time high. And you can see that we've got these other swing lows again at this price. So and is again really the next order block below us that we want to be taking note of. And I don't think that this would happen necessarily that very, very quickly, but I think that if we do break 42, these are quite weak lows over here. You know, they're nothing significant, certainly not as significant as 24 to about $25 that we were at in September 2021. So I think if we break this, we'll probably deviate below and we'll start to create structure of lower lows, okay, something like this, and then lower highs, and then we'll probably start to swing down over to about here, which I can't deny would be a very good buying opportunity for Luna. So really we want to wait here and see that, are we going to bounce from about that $60 to $40 level and we create new highs? And if we don't, then we're probably going down to about 24, and then below that, what else can we see? We can see the start of another order block at about that 19 to about $15 level over here, okay, which again was the real move, which was the downside move before we started making, you know, moves onto new highs. And then if we just get rid of that, you know, I think that the levels below that as an absolute all-time low in an absolute worst case scenario. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but we just want to be aware so that we know exactly what to do if prices, you know, hit these levels. But I think that the lowest that, you know, Luna could really go would be somewhere about the $8 mark. I think that would be like the bottom of a bear market in cataclysmic circumstances, should that happen. But I wouldn't be banking on that entirely. I'd be happy to be buying in at somewhere about $25 if we lose that $42 level. So those are the targets down below us that we want to be looking out for. And if we take a look at our VPVR as well, you can see that where are our lowest volume areas that we always, you know, look out for. We've got the lowest volume here at, again, look, 24 to about $20, which is this void where price doesn't like to hang out at. for very long. And then we've got these other ones, you know, perfectly where we spoke about at about that $14 level. And then we've got that top of that, you know, support cluster over here at about $8. So that's why we're marking out these low volume areas, you know, and I just want you to be aware that if we do see any sort of sizable downside correction in cryptocurrency, or we get some sort of capitulation, we do typically go to these lower volume areas where, you know, we slice straight down into price, back into areas where, you know, we're likely to see big bounces from. So let's keep an eye out on those. As we're about halfway through the video, if you're getting some value from this content and you're learning some new things, then please consider subscribing to the channel down below to keep up to date with videos, and don't forget to smash me a like down below. That massively helps me out. So without further ado, let's crack on. Now, whilst those are the targets down below us, you know, we might well bounce from this area of about $60, $50. And if we do, okay, I would potentially be looking at upside targets of about 135 to anywhere between $200. And I'll tell you why I'm looking at that is that, firstly, if we see, you know, every time in this grinding phase up, that we've been making it, if we continue to trend as we have been, we've basically, every time we created a new all-time high and we surpassed the last high, we've been moving up anywhere between about 10 to 40%, okay? And then you can see that over here. Right, 10, 30, 40%. So if we were to do something similar with Luna and we were to bounce from about $50, that would put us anywhere in the range of about, you know, a 10% move would put us anywhere as low as about $130, $135, and 40% would put us about $175. So somewhere up there might be a new all-time high target if we were to bounce from that level, okay? And if we take a look at, you know, some of the fib extensions, if we come down and tested this order block, you know, you can see quite nicely as well that the 1-to-1 ratio puts us at about $135, $140, and a 1.618 extension of that wave, if we were to reach down here, would put us at about $174, $185, which would be the top end of those percentages that we talk about. So that's definitely something that we want to look out for. And, you know, undoubtedly, you can't deny that if we were to start carving out some sort of low over here, then again, what we're doing, we're basically creating market structure for, you know, higher highs and higher lows. So we really want to see, you know, what happens at this area. This is the business end for me and decision time at $55, $60 for Luna. So if I was trying to play Luna as a holder or looking to get into Luna, what would I be doing? Overall, if I was at these lofty highs, personally, I would probably be chopping a little bit off the table. If we go a little bit higher from here in about $135, $140, and we managed to make one final push up over here, again, I'll be taking profits off the table, because I do think that we're overall in a downtrend in you know, most markets and in a bear market, and Luna is an exception, not the rule. And if I was looking to get into Luna, like I said, the price points that I'd be looking at is potentially about $50, $60 as a more aggressive long-term hold. But I think anywhere between $24 is a really good entry point and support base to be buying into. And then below that, we've got you know, anywhere between $14 and $8 should we have some sort of massive you know, decline in cryptocurrency. And it's not uncommon, to be honest, for cryptos to drop 70, 80%. And you know, again, that puts us somewhere in those price points that we were talking about. Now, Luna Bitcoin, looking at key levels again that we spoke about before, because you know, we were talking about back in March at this key zone over here at about you know, 20,000 satoshis, where we managed to bounce from. Okay, so we managed to hold that level quite well, and like I said, try to look for those obvious horizontal levels of support resistance. You can see that they typically play out really well in altcoin Bitcoin pairs. You can see that all the time, okay, really, really nicely. So if we were to fall down from 20,000 sats, then, you know, potentially we've got some levels down over here at about 15,000 satoshis, and then anywhere below that at about 12,000 satoshis. So you know, if we were to drop down from current prices, that might be a markdown in 30% versus Bitcoin, and a markdown of about 45-50% versus Bitcoin from current prices. So those are the areas that I'd be keeping out for down below us. So I hope you got some value from that quick update on Terra Luna, and you're better positioned to manage the market in whichever direction it goes, because if we go lower, we know exactly where to buy into, and if we go higher, we know where to potentially take profit, and then you can obviously adjust your risk according to that. So if you like the video, please go ahead and drop me a like down below. You know, that massively helps me out, gets this spread out to the right people, and gets me right in the YouTube algorithm. So until the next video and the next update, I'll catch you next video.